upward to the cloud. All right. And if you have your video open, just mute. Put yourself on some mute there. Oh. So in your child's pose. And nestling into the hips, just widening the knees a little bit. This is you as the seed. This is you as the embryo. You could also see it as the nucleus, the center from which all intention, the culmination of intention as well, is all wrapped together. So reflecting on what your feelings of darkness are, the physicalness of darkness. Do you avoid it at all costs? Were you afraid as a child? Just reflecting your environment of darkness and how that affects you emotionally and how comfortable or not. And then taking it into an esoteric area of ourselves, the dark parts of ourselves even. These dark parts of our personality, dark, perhaps thinking of some habits that you have that might be dark and sabotaging. Just gonna allow those things to be welcomed into this space. We want to welcome all these dark parts of ourselves. Just coming up a little bit into puppy dog pose. So now you're on your knees and your knees are under the hips. Send your hips high. Turn your head to one side and extend the arms out in front of you. And feel that spine lengthening out. Draw your belly button in and lift your tail. Feel that point between the shoulder blades coming together in your back. Turning your head to the opposite side. And then slowly slide the hands underneath the shoulders for cat-cow movements. So the cow lifts its gaze, drops the heart. Go ahead and tuck those toes and arch the feet as well as you tilt the hips up. Inhale. Exhale, tuck the chin, looking at your belly button. Pull the spine up to the ceiling and flatten your feet. And feel and see and sense yourself going through these total opposite sensations of the neck, the head, the shoulders, the hips, the feet. One more time, each direction. Really exaggerating, taking yourself as if you're going through some molasses or slow moving, thick atmosphere. Coming back into neutral spine and circle the shoulders around. Circling in the elbows, which then circles the wrists. And keep the arms stationary. We'll circle the hips in a circle. Circle the hips in a circle that's a circle. We'll feel that off to the side, forward, around to the back, and then switch that direction. And then I'm going to drop both hips over to one side. It's like you're just tapping. And then you're going to come back through tabletop and open and tap on the other side. So dropping them over to one side, center, and lower. And you can look over your shoulder each time you do here. And finishing up that last side. Coming back into the tabletop, walking the hands forward now into Sphinx pose. Get the long legs back behind you. Elbows underneath the shoulders, and then press into the hands just to slightly push forward and drop the shoulders away from the ears. And we bring that curve in the low back, molding it, encouraging it to keep its natural shape, the natural shock absorbing shape of the spine. So no matter if we're bouncing around, it's diverting the stress on the spine and then the trunk of the body. And then coming back into tabletop, and from tabletop into a lunge. So right foot forward, and it's just a nice 90-degree lunge. So I'm looking to make sure that my ankle and my knee are stacked. And then I'm gonna just slightly find that neutral pelvis. So I've got a tailbone weight, a little weight connected to the coccyx bone, and it's drawing down. I'm going to draw the belly button back and the pelvic floor in, roll the shoulders down. So it's a nice stacking of the spine, feeling that energy of posture engaged. And then hands in prayer, twisting over to the right side. So right leg is forward, we twist towards the right. And then once you twist, start to rest that left elbow on your right knee. And grow tall in your neck and initiate that rotation using the elbows. And you might bring the thumbs to the center and keep them at the center of your chest, using the torque of the arms. Rotating now your gaze up to the ceiling. Hug your hips together to keep your balance. This body awareness, balance awareness here. And we rewind out of it the way we came into it. So first, hinging into facing right, and then naturally, very slowly back to forward. Framing your front foot, send your hips back. We're going to reach the toes to the side. So not sitting back on that foot, because you could have the option to do this. And while that's one thing, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to straighten out and fold over that front leg. Flexing the toes up to the ceiling. Ready for the breath. Inhale, look out and up. And exhale, folding over. Chin reaches to the shin. And repeat. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, fold. Last time, lengthen out. Draw that belly button back, folding out. We're going to bend that knee forward. Heel toe the right leg out to the outer edge of your mat and bring both hands to the inside. We're going into the dragon. There's a dark character, except for the lollipop dragon, which we had as kids. Gosh, that is so dating myself. But it was a film, and lollipop dragon, and of course Pete's dragon. That was another friendly dragon. There's a few more, I think, in the Pixar world, but I think generally dragons may not have a very good reputation. So we can celebrate the darkness of the dragon. I'm sure all of us have had the feeling of having 4 heads all going in different directions. Breathing fire. Hoarding treasure. Didn't they do that? The dragons in some fairy tales. Just a few more breaths in our dragon. Breathe that fire if you need to. And coming up, we'll take another fold over, and now this time we'll send it back. So you have the option to sit on the foot, so your heels kind of pushing into your perineum, which is a thing in yoga. They like to push on different areas. Or option 2, depending on your knee, and it is a rotation, but if you've had some sensitivities or injuries, you're not going to want to do this one. It's where the foot is on the outside. There's a slight just off to the side of the shin. So we're going to be right here. So folding now forward, reach for that leg. And working with the breath here. So as you inhale, looking up, and exhale, folding forward. Lengthen out the spine and think of the top of the head, the crown of the head, wanting to touch that top of the foot. Maybe next Halloween, I don't know. Lengthen out. It's an energetic pull. One last time. Inhale, lengthen. Toes pointing up and fold. So you can either roll to your right side to release the left leg, or lift and come back. And we're going to go into a camel pose. So this class is a little more than a yin. It's a very slow flow for today, but I promise we'll slow it very much down at the end. And so with camel, you're tucking both your feet. You're going to bring your, let's do the right hand first. Your right hand is going to place at the flat part of your sacrum. fingertips pointing down. And as if you have a wall in front of you, you're going to push your sacrum and pelvis forward, and then building up the spine, lifting up as well as pushing forward. Left arm comes up. Now you may keep your gaze forward the whole time or drop your head back, your choice. Lifting the chest up and pushing the hips forward. Holding the back of the head, we're going to come back up, release, and sit for a moment. You can do a child's pose as well in your low back. So go where you feel you're supported. Now, this is to strengthen the back and add flexibility and range of motion, but you want to stay strong in the core right here. So be sure to pull up and intensify the muscles in the core. So let's do the other side. This is going to be the left hand on the sacrum. Tuck the toes. Squeeze the legs together. Right arm comes up as you press the spine forward and up. Lengthen up, forward, and reaching, and coming all the way into that arch. Holding the back of your head, dropping, bringing the head up, and then lowering the heels, rounding back out the spine. One last time, we're going to do both hands, and you do have the option to reach back for your heels. So if you're unfamiliar with that, you can also place some objects alongside, or even do this next to a couch. So if you were up against a couch, you place your hands here, and you can go into the camel pose as well. So here we go, back of the hand, hands placing at the back, fingertips pointing down, and squeeze your elbows together. That puffs up the chest, tucking the toes, because you might want to grab your heels, pushing the hips forward. It is lift, there's a wall in front of you, and you're going to push the wall, lift the heart up. Option to drop the head back or not. Squeeze the elbows together. Maybe find your heels. Oh, there's one. Turn your head to look to one side, supporting the neck back. And come into child's pose. Reverse all of that. So in yoga, you might have heard of there being something called the sun salutation, or the Surya Namaskar A and B. And so it's, yes, it is designed to be done at the time of day where the sun is at its potency, you know, it's the newness of the sunlight. And you may not know that there's also a moon flow. So Chandra Namaskar. So I would like to do the moon flow with you today, and it is very slow. So it's not something that we're going to rush through. It's not something that you have to be afraid of. It does require that we're going to start with standing. Now, you can also do this in a chair, by the way. So if you have a chair, you're going to sit for the parts that I'll show you in some of these poses and in the flow. So it starts with your feet together, hands by your sides in what's known as mountain pose. So if you have your chair, it's going to be just behind you, and your mat is going to be sideways. So we're going to be using the outer edges. So center of the mat, palms face forward. This opens up the chest. Draw your belly in, draw your pelvic floor up, and scrunch the earth with your feet. So like little suction cups, pressing your big toes and scrunching them, feeling grounded like a mountain. So from mountain, We rise, lifting the arms and interlace the fingers. Index finger extends up. And we're going to take the arms with the extended index over to the left side. And then over to the right side. Coming back to center, and you can jump or you can step your feet out now into a star. So starfish or star. From star, turn your heels in, toes out, bend at the elbows, and you're holding the moon on your back as if you are, this is the goddess pose, so it's as if you're holding and harnessing the full moon on your back. So we're going to straighten the legs again, opening up the arms, this time going into triangle. So your right foot is going to move, point towards the right, reach towards the right, and then tilt your body over. Triangle pose. So if you have your chair, don't worry, none of this requires chair. So from the triangle pose, we're going to go all the way down to the earth and fold forward, wide-legged forward fold. Walking your hands over to that left foot. And you're going to come up into the triangle now on the other side. So we did this on the right side. Now here's triangle on the left. Coming back up to standing. Toes out. Hold that moon over your shoulders along your back. You can flip your palms to the ceiling. It's like you're squatting. Then we go into the starfish. And then you can jump your feet together, or you can simply step your feet together back at the center of your mat, arms above your head, and we take that index finger extension over to the right, and then over to the left. And bring it back to center and back into the mountain. And just experience that for a moment, how that feels. So we'll do the same thing with a slight variation each time. So this will be phase 2. So if you have your chair, this will be the part. So we start in mountain. And then reaching arms up and bending like a willow over to the left. Strong in that core, over to the right. Coming back to center and open the legs, coming into starfish. Yeah, nice and wide stance. We'll bring the heels in and do that goddess again. So at this point, you could sit in your chair. And we're going to go into what's called a side angle pose. So right knee stays bent, left leg straightens out, and we take that left arm up and over. And then sweeping the arms back to the earth. There's that forward fold, wide leg forward fold. You have your chair, back to sitting in the chair. Otherwise now, I forgot my light came on. Now we go into side angle pose on the other leg. So left leg is now bent. Remember, always have an ankle and a knee that are stacked. So the bone feels that it's supported on top of the bone. The joints are supported and stacked. And then straightening, coming back into the goddess. You can sit on the chair for this. And then we go into starfish. Option to jump those feet back together. And we go into the willow tree. And into mountain. Hang on, mountain for a moment. I like my lights on timer, so I realized my class is later tonight, so the timer went on. Talk about not wanting the dark. I've got my lights on timers. So, a new variation of the moon, just hanging out for a moment here. We will be down on the mat, so if you need something for your knee, just have some comfort for your knee available. So from mountain pose, rise the arms, and we do these little crescents. So this is a moon flow because these are like the little slivers of crescent moon. This sliver of your body curving from side to side is like the crescent. It's just getting its light back from the sun. The earth is not in the shadow anymore. And from here, then we open up into the starfish. So we're moving more towards half moon, full moon. So holding goddess. So we're going to go into side angle pose once again. And from side angle pose, frame your front foot and bring that left knee down or that back knee down. And here we go into another crescent moon flow. So you're sinking into those hips and your back, you have a full moon or crescent moon that you're creating from your fingertips down your arms, your torso, and into your tips of your toes. Just imagine that you're rounding your back over a moon. Okay, so tricky part. You're going to tuck your toes, come off of that knee. Stay low, stay on your hands. You're going to shift your weight and straighten that opposite leg. So we just had our right leg. We were lunging over it. And now we're taking a different type of lunge. Yogi's choice to go ma, look, no hands. It's okay if you fall, you can take a seat here as well. Hands back to support you. Now we come to center and we go into the squat. Oh yeah, see, you can do this all in a chair, by the way. That's why I said maybe a chair for some of you. So you can do, we're gonna do this round again. So if that did help, or if this does not help, you know, being on the floor and maybe it's a little too much too soon, a chair is an incredible tool. Gets almost nearly the same lunging quality. So we take the same formation we just had, but the opposite leg now. It's the left leg that extends. We're going in a circle, mirroring on each side the poses here. So here we go. We're going to bend, lift, and take now the right knee down. And we make the lunge happen now with the left leg forward, and we do the crescent moon on this side. So you're melting the hips forward, and that's why we did those camel poses to warm up for this one. Keep your belly engaged, keep your abdomen strong, supporting the back. Okay, so here we go. We go tucking the back toe, lifting the legs, side angle pose. Back into goddess. Almost center. Into starfish, or the great galaxy star. Coming back into center, and little bitty crescent moons in standing. Back into, here we are, a mountain. What is our time? Okay, a little bit of change. Let's come to a squat one more time here. So back to center. And, you can be using a block. You know what? I noticed that it is dark. So I'm gonna let some of the light. So you can use a block under your tailbone there to sit on. Finding the tools that are just right for this. So garland pose. Now we're gonna wiggle the elbows and the shoulders in between your knees, get low, get really low and even dropping your head. And then there's an option to take your hands and fold your arms in front of your knees, palms are facing up. And notice how short and shallow your breathing becomes. So relax, observe. All right, so we're gonna release out of there and come into forward fold. One more time, wide leg forward fold. And release, heel toe your feet back together. Now we'll come on to the tops of the feet. So you're sitting on the tops of your feet here. And I wanna make a little bit of a distinction. So tops of the feet are down, but we're gonna cross the arch of one foot on top of the other. Did you see how I did that? So you can have just the feet straight away the way that they are, or just right where they are here. So we're gonna bring the arms, or hands into prayer pose. And then from prayer pose, opening up the arms, arching the back, and then bringing the prayer back at the heart center. Inhale as you open and expand. Open and lift the chest. Pull the elbows back. Exhale as you close here. Open and arch. Exhale, close. One more opening and closing of the heart flower. Opening, inhale, exhale to close. So, making your way onto your back. Supporting the neck, hug your knees into your body. Massaging the spine. Reaching in between your ankles, in between the knees for the ankles, going into a happy baby. So we just came from the squat. Here we are back at the goddess squat, which is now in out of gravity, the opposite of gravity here. A little bit of rocking. And then latch your two fingers, your peace fingers on your big toes. You can also hold the back of your knees or your ankles and go into straight legs right into the blooming lotus here. And rocking. And not catching yourself on fire. Push through the heels, flex the toes down, heels up. Last breaths here. Let's do last 3 breaths. And bending the knees, bringing the legs back together. So if you have something behind your head, please remove that. And even take out any ponytails or any buns or something if you have holding your hair. So for some of you, you'll go right into legs in the air. You can take your hands under your hips. You can also place a block underneath your hips. Where's my block? Oh. Otherwise, I want to show you shoulder stance. So if you have a block, you're going to put that underneath and you'll stay right here because this feels so good. So shoulder stance, you're going to bring your legs up and overhead into the plow. So you're here, you're going to lift, holding the small of your back. Don't turn your neck. I'm going to turn my neck back here. Lengthen the legs back and over and interlace your hands so your shoulder blades are going to come together. Placing your hands in the small of your back. And the weight is on the shoulders, not on the neck for shoulder stance. Oh, I shouldn't be turning my head. So, and bring those big toes to touch. Just look at those legs nice and long. The weight is over the hips and over the shoulders. Come out whenever you feel that you've done 10 or so breaths. Coming into plow pose first, and then reaching back and slowly stretch your spine back to the earth. Hips fold down. If you have your legs in the shoulder or legs up the wall, you're going to bring your legs together, coming up on your elbows as if you're at the beach and you're just kind of like chilling and watching the surf, people surfing. Palms down, elbows tucked in, lift the chest, drop the head back. This can be assisted by a block. You can also squeeze your shoulders up to hold that neck with more support as well. Press down into your hands. Squeeze the shoulders together. And looking forward, come down off the elbows, bring your hands behind your head and pull your head, chin in, just to lengthen that neck. One more time, the opposite direction. And then bringing the knees in for our final preparations for Shavasana, spinal twist. So bringing both knees in and over to one side. Opening up the arms out to the side. And release and come back into center. And when you're ready, over to the opposite side. And gently coming back into center. Swing the knees to release the low back. And if you'd like, you can do bound ankle knees for your final Shavasana. So you have your feet together and your knees falling out to the sides. You could do one leg at a time. Do more like a reclined tree. And adjusting your clothing. Just feel the tingling or noticing any areas of the body that feel a lot more relaxed here. Tuning into how good it feels to finish out the week with some nice body time, some nice stretching, community with other yogi friends. Just allow your mind to be drifting, not thinking about anything in particular for this next few minutes of Shavasana. Allow your breath, allow good vibes and gratitude to be on your mind here. just counting to yourself the next 10 breaths. So your next exhale would be 1. And bringing some movement into your fingers and into your toes. Circling your wrists, circling your ankles. And gather the knees, rocking, finding your way back into that transition. But now that practice and that foundation of good vibes and body awareness and all these wonderful things that over time yoga begins to bring into the surface and bring into the body. So this weekend's full moon, if you're feeling frisky and you have late night owl tendencies, probably the full moon comes up around 8:30, 9 o'clock, something like that. Beautiful, I bet, on the horizon. And then you can go outside, sit somewhere, and absorb that moonlight. It has an effect on the water of the body. There's a lot of proven science about that. And so you can draw in the moonlight into your body. And especially as women, we understand that cycling of moods and cycling of body fluids, and even the cycle of being the maiden at one time, perhaps motherhood, or understanding the essence of motherhood, and then moving into what is the wise one, the sage woman, the crone. And so as women, we have always had this special connection to the moon. And I have other interesting facts about the moon too. I could talk all night on that. So let's bring our hands to the heart center. And if you'd like to undo your video and also your mute button, so we can sing or chant, rather, not